Good evening, citizens of Portsmouth. Thank you all for joining us today for this council meeting, February 10th, 2026. I want to acknowledge all of those who are in the audience today with us, as well as our city staff. Thank you all for joining us for this very important work. Also want to acknowledge my colleagues on council and our city manager, Mr. Stephen Carter, our interim city attorney, Mr. Derek Challenger, and our city clerk, Ms. Deborah White. I would ask that we all now stand for a moment of silence following the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would ask my colleagues on council to please note your attendance electronically.
7 members of City Council present.
Thank you very much. We now are moving into our council minutes. We have the minutes of a called meeting on January 27, 2026, and a regular meeting on January 27, 2026. Do we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes? Please vote electronically.
The minutes are adopted 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you please read now the council rules?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask that you conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the City Council as a body rather than any particular member of City Council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We are now moving into our public hearing item on the agenda, item 26-42, A, UP-25-13. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing resolution we are considering for this item?
Yes, sir. Cavalier Manor, resolution granting the request of Walter Cooper Development, Inc., for a use permit to develop multifamily dwellings at 3335 Victory Boulevard in the general mixed-use zoning district. The property is owned by Riptide 4 LLC. The future land use map of the Bill 1 Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan designates this property as being located within a quarter linear district. And the actual resolution reads, a resolution granting a use permit, UP 2513, to Walter Cooper Development, Inc., to construct a 4-story multifamily dwelling complex consisting of approximately 48 units on a portion of 3335 Victory Boulevard.
Thank you, ma'am. And is the applicant present?
Yes, sir.
Sir, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You will have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Glover, Vice Mayor Moody, members of City Council. My name is Bruce Watts. I'm Vice President of Development for Walter Cooper Companies and Chief Engagement Officer. It's a pleasure to be before you again. I've been coming before the City Council for 6 years. We have 2 developments in the city, Holly Point and Baines Point. And this council has been very supportive of us, Mayor, and I just appreciate the opportunity again to present to you for another development, which we call Blunt Point and Blunt Place, I'm sorry. And this particular development is in honor of the late Dr. Milton Blunt. And I met him about 3 years ago, and he gave the invocation for Holly Point and on the Effingham Street. And he passed away a little bit over a year ago, but his wife is here, Miss Claudette Blunt, First Lady. She's here in support of us tonight, and we just appreciate this opportunity. I also was able to get 2 letters of support for the development, which I think you have at your disposal. One is from Cavalier Manor Civic League, and the other one is from the Church and Community in Action. We got 2 letters of support there. So what I'd like to do is just give you a brief overview of the development. It's at 3335 Victory Boulevard. As you can see here, it's right next to Riptide Car Wash. Next slide, please. So that's the front and rear of the building itself, of the site itself, I should say. Vacant lot. Next slide. That's the north and south area on Victory Boulevard. And the east and west. This is actually a site plan that we've developed for this particular development, and this is a 48 unit development, a combination of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. We have 1 minute here. We have 7 one-bedroom apartments, 30 two-bedroom apartments, and 11 three-bedroom apartments. Square footage on these are 715 square feet on the one-bedroom average, 925 on the two-bedroom average, and 1130 on the three-bedroom average. Local incomes is 30 to 80% AMI. The rents range base rents from $555 to $1475. Some of the amenities that we have are elevators in the building. So we're a little bit different than some of the other developers, which you very well know. We put elevators in our building. And so we attract probably 30% seniors because of that. And of course, that's really nice for families too that have children or they're trying to get groceries up and down the stairs and so forth. We will have a computer lab in the development itself. We'll have a community room, 749 square feet, community room that we will open up to the community if they want to have meetings there. An example of that is Westbury Civic League at Holly Point. They had a Civic League meeting every month in our community room at Holly Point. And that's just a part of what we do to try to get back to the community. We will also have laundry rooms on the second floor, and laundry hookups in every unit. Universal design, so basically every unit will have about a 30% decrease in their utility bills because of the type of equipment. Just say, for example, an HVAC system, windows, plumbing, different things like that will reduce the cost of the unit itself for them to live there. So having a universal design, they have basically state-of-the-art equipment in their units that lower the cost of your utility costs. I would like to say also, if you could go to the next slide. So in our developments, this is a rendering, a typical rendering, and most of you all have seen this in either Holly Point or Baines Point. 50% of our units, 50% of our design is brick. Another 50% is hardy plank or cement. So we don't put vinyl sidings on our buildings, which give it more sustainability, more durability, and more attractiveness. And as you can tell, either from Holly Point or Baines, it gives it that pop when you go up to it and you look at it. So this is basically the overall concept that we are presenting today. What I would like to do is to acknowledge your city staff, city manager Carter. I remember back in December, when we were trying to get a temporary occupancy permit for Baines, his staff came through for us, Mayor, in December, the end of December, where everybody's taking off. But they came through for us. And the planning department, Rhonda, her department came through for us also. The chief of police, Chief Jenkins, Captain Blystone, they put a security camera at Baines, and we had no incidents there, none at all. And we had one on an occasion, and I called Captain Blystone, and he was there like that. So I say that to say, you know, we built a strong partnership in the city, and it's because of the people that I'm talking to there, the council members and the mayor, and we appreciate the investment that we've been able to make here. We made about 40 million so far. If we're getting this development itself, it'll be another 20. So, and we're constantly looking to see if there's another development that we can do. But I tell you this is one of the best cities I worked in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I've developed 13 developments in this Commonwealth in 10 years. And Portsmouth is one of the best cities that I've worked in.
Thank you, sir.
So I'll open it up for questions.
Councilman Hugel, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Mr. Watts, thanks to you and Woda Cooper for your continuing investment in Portsmouth. We have a shortage in housing stock, particularly in the price points that you're offering at Holly Point, Baines Point, and project offer at Blunt Place. And so it's important that that we continue to work with good folks like you and your team to see projects like this through. And so I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to work with you again.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity, Councilman.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Mr. Watts, good to see you again, and I echo my colleagues' sentiments that we certainly appreciate your faith in our city. I know we got off to a slow start. You overcame that and have really produced some quality projects. But more importantly, you've produced projects that were sorely needed in our city, and that's workforce development projects. So you're fulfilling a need, and you know, your product, you mentioned 80 million thus far and another 20 million here, but what you've done to support the human capital in our city is priceless. There's a major need out there, and I do hope you can find another project in Portsmouth. And really appreciate your comments about doing business in Portsmouth. That's something I know this council has certainly been attuned to, making us business friendly and attracting people who want to invest in our city. And you've certainly stepped forward in doing that, and your words, having done other projects in the Commonwealth, certainly are appreciated. Thank you again.
Well, Vice Mayor, I appreciate those words. I would like to say to you, you and the mayor, we started this journey with you all, with Holly Point. And I remember you were the swing vote in us getting the use permit for Holly. If we hadn't got that use permit, I wouldn't be here today. So that's you know, leadership and partnerships are extremely important. And I'm personally going to miss you on this council. I hope I can come back before you again before you retire. But thank you for all you've done for this city, and thank you for being a partner with Walter Cooper Companies.
Thank you.
Councilman Tillett, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Watts, thank you. I want to echo the sentiments of my fellow council members for the continued investment that Walter Cooper has made in the city of Portsmouth and helping to make affordability a reality for many of our citizens, especially in the workforce development income bracket. And so as we continue to address housing across our city, I want you to continue to look at Portsmouth as being an opportunity to invest here in the city of Portsmouth. The quality of your product is good. I drive past Baines Point and Holly Point. You all maintain your facility very well on the outside. Grounds are well maintained. And the question I have for you is in regards to how fast are your apartments becoming occupied? What's the occupancy rate?
Well, we're right now at Baines Point, we're fully leased up. And, we only have 50 units there. And, one of the differences between us and other developers, and that's no criticism to them, but we build low density. So we build communities, and people know each other. The property manager knows the residents know the property manager. And so fortunate enough in Portsmouth, but in other cities too, we fully lease up before we open the doors, because we don't build 150 apartments or 100 apartments. I won't say it's easy to lease up 50 apartments, but it's not very difficult, especially when you have the quality there. So we're very fortunate. We got a waiting list. We have a waiting list at Holly.
Absolutely. Yeah, the demand for affordable option housing is high. And so we thank you for that. But I also want to thank your company for the history that you bring to each building, from Holly Point to Baines Point and now Blunt's Place. And I think it's a great honor to be able to name these buildings after people from Portsmouth that have gone on to do great things, and so that their work lives beyond them. And so I think Milton Blunt was a good choice. And I think to be able to continue the legacy of him is great. And so thank you for that. And thank you, Mrs. Blunt, for allowing for sharing Reverend Blunt with the city of Portsmouth. And so thank you, Mr. Watts.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Watts? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Council. Mayor, if I could just introduce my colleague, Eric Wright, who came in from Columbus, Ohio today to be my backup just in case I didn't deliver.
Yes, sir. Welcome, Mr. Wright. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. You do not have to have signed up to come speak on this public hearing item. However, if you do come forward, we need you to state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes.
Hello. My
You
name
can
is
pull the
Ann.
microphone down to you, there you go. So you're a little comfortable. There you go.
Hello. My name is Angela Parrish, and I do not reside in Portsmouth anymore, but my mother resides in Portsmouth. My mother has lived on Pinewell Street in Portsmouth, Virginia for over 35 years. In 2023, my mother called me at 5:30 in the morning to tell me a bomb just went off. And I thought my mother was going through that.
Ma'am, hold on a second. This is for the public hearing item for the apartment building.
What was that? This for a public hearing?
Public hearing item for the apartment building. I do see you listed as a non-agenda speaker, which you'll have an opportunity to come up at that time.
Okay, sorry.
But this is a public hearing item for anyone who wants to speak to UP-25-13, which is the resolution for this development by Woda Cooper Group. So if you are coming to speak on that item,
Yes.
state your name and address. and
Yes,
you will
I'm
have 5
Pamela
minutes.
Wilkins. I live 805 Elm, Westbury. I'm also the president of the Westbury Civic League. And I'm just standing giving my support of the water company. I just appreciate the fact that they answered the call for affordable housing for Portsmouth. And the 2 facilities that they have built so far, I'm just echoing everything you all have already said. They are well kept. We have our meetings at the Holly Point one. Is immaculate in there. The young lady keeps it nice and clean. You don't see trash all around the building, any of that. So they do present a quality product. And I just want to let you all know that the Westbury community is in support of anything they want to build.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing item. If you wish to come and speak on this item, please state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes.
I'm Sheila Joseph, 139 Grand Street. I'm in support because I have people calling me about paying high rent and not having quality work. So to find out somebody care enough to make it affordable but have something quality, I would like to find out what the prices are that is available to certain people's income if they can afford it.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'm sure Mr. Watts can share that information with you. Ma'am, please come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
My name is Claudette McWilliams Blunt. I live at 4600 Staghorn Drive, Virginia Beach, Virginia, but I'm here to talk to you about Portsmouth. Portsmouth has been the heart of my husband. He loved it. I like to thank Mr. Watson for even attempting to name this great place after Blunt. Portsmouth is an awesome place. It is a wonderful place, and it's a place that my husband loved, so thank you again, even for considering that. The New Mount Olivet Baptist Church, which he pastored here in Portsmouth, is in total support of this, and we're here to say, go Portsmouth, you're on the map, no matter what anybody say. I always say Portsmouth is the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Blunt. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If you want to come speak on this item, please come forward, state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. The next item, item B, UP-25-14. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the resolution we are considering for this item?
Yes, sir. Collinswood, resolution granting the request of SAF Store Real Estate Company, LLC, for a use permit to operate a self-service storage facility at 2830 Airline Boulevard in the General Mixed Use Zoning District. The property is owned by Victory West LLC. The future land use map of the Bill 1 Portsmouth comprehensive plan designates this property as a mixed-use corridor. Planning Commission recommends denial. The resolution before you is a resolution granting a use permit, UP 2514, to Safe Store Real Estate Company, LLC, to construct and operate a self-service storage facility at 2830 Airline Boulevard.
Thank you, ma'am. Is the applicant present with us tonight? If you are, please come forward, state your name and address. And sir, you will have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, members of council. For the record, my name is Rob Beeman. I'm a local land use attorney at the Troutman Pepperlock Law Firm. My business address is 222 Central Park Avenue, Suite 2000, Virginia Beach, 23462. I'm joined this evening by Chris Russ, who is one of the principals of the applicant, and also Eric Reichenbach, who is our civil engineering consultant for this project. The application that's before you this evening concerns an approximate 2.3 acre parcel located on Airline Boulevard, just west of Chowan Drive. It's currently occupied in the front by a used car dealership, and the rear portion of the site, as you can see on the overhead picture, is vacant. My understanding is it's been vacant for a number of years, in excess of 40 years. The applicant proposes to redevelop the site for a Class A indoor climate-controlled self-storage facility that would be very similar in quality and design to the facility that the applicant recently opened on Effingham Street here close to downtown. That building has been very successful and has exceeded the client's expectations in terms of market demand. Because of the success of the Effingham facility, the client would like to make another investment in Portsmouth in the amount of about $12.5 million in order to redevelop this site for this facility. This investment would make the site much more attractive, but would also result in significantly increased real estate taxes for this property in excess of $100,000 additional over what's currently being produced by that property today. We do understand that there are other self-storage facilities along the Airline Boulevard corridor. However, most of those facilities are 30 to 40 years old. They're ground level, they're not climate controlled, and they really offer a very different service than the service that would be offered at the proposed building. These climate-controlled indoor facilities are particularly appropriate for commercial customers, and we do anticipate that about 30 to 35% of the tenants who rent units at this facility would be local businesses that use it for additional inventory and equipment. I did also want to mention that the applicant has conducted a thorough market study, and that study did determine that there is a significant demand that's currently going unmet for these facilities in the city. A client does place a heavy emphasis on community involvement, and at least one unit per floor in this facility, the 3 floors, so at least 3 units would be reserved for charitable organizations, local charitable organizations to use free of charge. And the client is also willing to make space available on the ground floor of the facility available for a police substation if the city chooses to use it for that purpose. I did also just finally want to touch on public outreach. We've done a good amount of public outreach in connection with this application. We've reached out to each of the surrounding property owners. As a result of those conversations we've had, we're not aware of any opposition, and there is a directly adjacent property owner who's expressed her support. She couldn't be here today. She's in New Jersey tonight. I believe she did come to the Planning Commission hearing, and she, I believe, wrote a letter to each of the city council members. But with that, we certainly appreciate your consideration of this application, and we'll stand by for your questions. Thank you very much.
Councilman Hugo, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Beeman, for coming tonight. And as a liaison to the Planning Commission, I just want to share with my colleagues, I attended the Planning Commission meeting. Planning Commission did vote to deny. If I were to summarize the conversation that they had, it was primarily around, do we need another storage facility? I think as Mr. Beeman said, the storage facility that's being proposed is a little bit different from the storage that's already along the Airline Boulevard corridor. He does make the point that this property's been sitting fallow for 4 decades. And so as much as I'd like to see some industrial complex go in there that has thousands of jobs, we had 40 years to find that person, and we haven't. And so, given the quality of the facility that Safety Store built on Effingham, it's clear that we'll get the same kind of quality on this piece of property. And so, I intend to vote to support the applicant.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Dodson, sir, you have the floor.
Yes, I wanted to reiterate that same sentiment. This is a significant upgrade in the use of this property in that neighborhood, and by far in support of it. Thank you very much.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll also be supporting the project as well, and thank you, client, for investing in our city. That property, as long as I can remember, has certainly been vacant. Also, it's kind of an odd-shaped property, so you wouldn't be able to attract many different types of businesses in there. So I think what you're doing is going to be a perfect fit for that property, and also get a business on the tax rolls. So thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
Councilwoman Bryant, did you want the floor? And then I saw Councilwoman Thomas. Did you want the floor? Okay. Councilwoman Bryant, you have the floor.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Beeman. Appreciate the presentation and agree with Councilman Hugo and Vice Mayor Moody. took a drive by this site and agree it's an odd shape and it's an appropriate location for something like this. I do want to say I appreciate our planning staff, of course, but our planning commission for having the conversation and bringing to our attention and the city's attention some of what our expectations are about diversifying business, and appreciate their conversation in that forum, but agree that this is an appropriate use, and I will be supporting your application. You did say that you have storage units per floor for nonprofit use.
Yes, ma'am.
How many floors is
3
that?
floors.
So 3 potential locations for nonprofit
Yes, ma'am,
use.
and that program's already in place at the Effingham location as
Okay,
well.
and how
Yeah.
can people find out how to apply for that?
We can work with the planning department to make that information available, but I'll have that discussion with my client, and I can follow up with you, Ms. Bryant.
Of
if
course,
you'd like
after
to.
our vote, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Thomas, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up on Councilwoman Bryant's questioning about the nonprofit, what is your process for selection? Is it through the city selection or through your private entity?
I'm not aware that it goes through the city process, but my client is welcome to answer that.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for your time tonight. I'm Chris Russ. I'm at 3016 Poplar Hill Road, Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, to answer that, we typically try and work through the city with that. That's our preference. So that's what we'll be reaching out to do.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great offer, if that's something in place, but definitely would need to partner with the city because I'm sure they get requests all the time. We know of some organizations that require storage needs, nonprofits. So my other question is, I know you said you did a market study, and the market study showed that there was not saturation or oversaturation for that corridor in terms of storage facilities. What is your occupation, I guess, on the one at Effingham? Are you full there? What are you seeing right now?
Sure. So right now, we're, I think, approximately 37% leased up, which is ahead of our projection. Normally, at this point, since we opened, we would be targeting about 27%, so we're about 10% ahead, which is great, which is actually a significant number for us. So really, that's definitely what drove, our looking to reinvest here in another property. When we look at both areas, it's 2 separate projects, and we look at the market-specific area for each building, and there's definitely still that need, or we certainly wouldn't be here tonight.
What's the standard market, I guess, rate for usage in that building? You said you're currently at 37%, which is ahead of 27% occupation.
It's because those buildings self-storage buildings take a while to lease up. Their
Okay.
typical trajectory can take as much as 2 years to fully lease up. But as I said, we're well ahead of it on Effingham, and based on the numbers we're seeing, we should follow suit here if we're successful.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
Yes, Mr. Beeman, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
So there was a discussion about perhaps you have to have a BMP on this property. Is that
Yes, sir.
accurate?
Yes, sir.
There was a discussion about placement of the BMP. Are you aware of that discussion of placement of the BMP?
Yes, sir.
And what is your response?
Yeah, the primary reason we located the B&P towards the front of the property, there's a Taco Bell restaurant located directly next door, and we did talk with the ownership of that business, and we wanted to make sure that we're not blocking views with our building of their site as folks drive down Airline Boulevard, so really an accommodation to surrounding property owners.
Okay, so my concern is there could potentially be some young people or children in the area for whatever reason. And as you know, having a BMP, are we going to fence the BMP in, or what are we planning to do there?
We have our engineer here.
And I'm just concerned
Yeah.
because in these times when BMPs fill up, particularly in the wintertime, it could be a hazard. So,
Sure.
just a question.
Yeah. Let me just ask a quick question of Eric.
Hi, sorry, thank you. Great question, Mr. Mayor. Right now, our plan is not to fence it, but we are perfectly fine fencing it. I think that our plan was to work with staff to figure out a combination of landscaping and fencing. We want it to look attractive, at the same time be safe, so we're open to anything staff suggests there.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Your question brings to mind, what is our code reference BMPs as far as being fenced? Mr. Manager.
Mr. Carter, could you please take this one on?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, I don't know that answer. I'm going to ask Dr. Russell if she has information that she can share with us on that particular item.
I'm happy to. Good evening, everyone. The BMPs are not required to be fenced. Per the conceptual site plan, there is generous landscaping around that BMP, particularly in the front. I guess, SOP, we recommend decorative fencing along the front property line and maybe more secure fencing. It could be chain link black, vinyl coated along the sides and the back because that tends to disappear. Like you don't see it as you're driving by and traversing the property. And so I think that's a reasonable compromise.
Thank you, Dr. Russell, and thank you.
Mayor, I got a
Vice-
follow-up.
Okay,
to
Vice
that.
Mayor, you have the floor. I'm
I
sorry.
believe our code also requires aeration in BMPs. Is that accurate, Dr. Russell?
I don't believe that it's required. It's desirable, but we can verify it, Councilman Moody.
Yeah, we need to, as I recall, it is a requirement.
Okay.
But you can get back with us on that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Beaman.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this public hearing item, you are welcome to do so. However, if you do come forward, please state your name and address, and you will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Council members, we're in need of a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Thank you. Our next item, item C, Z-25-02. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the public hearing ordinance we are considering for this item?
Yes, sir. Links. Ordinance amending and reenacting Chapter 40.2 of the zoning ordinance of Portsmouth, Virginia for the purpose of amending Section 208 Overlay Zoning District, Paragraph D, Innovation I, Overlay District, and to make any necessary related amendments to other sections of the zoning ordinance. The amendment proposes to rename the district from Innovation to Link District and redefine the list of permitted land uses, align zoning classifications with desired mixed-use development patterns, and include residential, commercial, and cultural activities, and to include prescriptive design standards for landscaping, parking, signage, etc., reflective of design quality standards envisioned in the Innovation District Master Plan. Planning Commission recommended approval. And the ordinance you will be adopting reads, an ordinance amending and reordaining Chapter 40.2 zoning of the Code of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, including sections 40.2-208 overlay zoning districts, 40.2-213 commercial uses, 40.2-214 industrial uses, and 40.2-217 use-specific standards, and tables 40.2-208 and 40.2-216 for the purpose of renaming the Link Overlay District and revising the zoning standards applicable thereto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And do we have the city representative to come forward? Dr. Russell? Ma'am, you have 10 minutes.
I need 3. Good evening, everyone. Let me share with you, a number of council members actually did attend a visit to Greenville, South Carolina. And the importance of that visit is that a little bit over a year ago, Council adopted the Portsmouth Innovation Plan. And that innovation plan included specific recommendations for permitted uses and design standards for our corridor along High Street that begins at the intersection of High and Effingham and traverses to High and the MLK connector. Since that time, we have had a number of experiences that caused us a moment of pause, and that moment of pause it caused us to reconsider some of the recommendations of the Innovation District Plan. One of those recommendations of the plan was that we brand the corridor and that we change the name. And so that name change from the Innovation District to the Link District is part of the proposed ordinance amendment today. And so we do have an innovation district in the current Portsmouth zoning ordinance, and we are proposing to rename that to the Link District and to begin implementation of a two-part plan. And that two-part plan first identifies uses that are permitted in the district that are consistent with that plan that you adopted a year ago, includes some design standards that we are proposing to revisit. And the revisit of those design standards are due in large part to our Greenville, South Carolina experience and our Harvard experience, where Mayor Shannon Glover and I participated in a semester-long course and a project that was our innovation district, where we had planning and design experts that are renowned internationally provide insight and guidance on ways that we could improve implementation of that district. And so specifically, the innovation plan really speaks to creating a vibrant corridor in our Portsmouth downtown community that is a place where we live, work, and play, and it is designed to attract specifically those types of activities and an entrepreneurial spirit. We realize that sometimes the pace of development outpaces our efforts to implement. And so specifically, we recognize that an ordinance that addresses uses that we do not want in the corridor needed to be immediately implemented, and that is this effort. It's also the reason why we're proposing that this effort be two-part. And so while we are laser focused on the uses that should be permitted and prohibited, specifically those prohibited uses would include drive-through facilities, convenience stores, single-family detached uses, park and ride lots, construction and material sales, crematory funeral homes, vehicle sales and service, recycling centers, animal breeding facilities, and design features such as neon lighting. That takes a negative connotation when we say what is prohibited, but those types of uses that would be permitted in the district per the ordinance are uses like commissary kitchens and maker spaces. And I want to speak specifically about maker spaces because they embody the spirit of the Innovation District Plan with respect to its entrepreneurial desire. So those are spaces where we would have entrepreneurs who can start their visionary implementation of a business interest and really are supported in that effort in a turnkey fashion in a makerspace building, what we would call an entrepreneurial space, until they are solvent enough financially to move out on their own in space that is independently supported. We are proposing a public engagement, stakeholder engagement process of representatives throughout the community and along our High Street corridor to help us in the development of the specific design standards for the Link District. Want to go back and share with you in our Greenville experience. We recognize Greenville is recognized as a benchmark community for those communities that want to revitalize their downtown, their Main Street corridors. And being in the community for just a few days, we recognize the advantages of having both spaces where you work and you live, and you have a built-in market to partake of those venues, those entertainment, those eateries and retail opportunities in the communities. We also were keenly aware of how attractive opportunities like public art and pocket parks and lush landscaping and coordinated signage and facades were in encouraging and attracting visitors to come and just stay for a while. When you stay for a while, you're going to eat and you're going to buy things and you're going to just relax and enjoy the ambiance of the experience. And we want that for Portsmouth as well. This photo was added to the presentation post the Planning Commission meeting because two of our commissioners commented that we didn't get to go to Greenville. So, pictures would be nice of what you experienced. And I'm going to liken the presentation for the proposed WOTA development project as well as the self-storage facility. Ordinances don't have that, the opportunity to ooh and wow, it's verbiage and it's language. And so all that we have to bring to the table to explain what we're proposing in terms of the development standards are the development standards, what's permitted, what's not permitted, what the setbacks are. But these are pictures from Greenville. I particularly like the one to the far left corner that shows the people in the public space, and those are opportunities that we want more often and more frequently. And those opportunities they occur now, but we want them to occur when they're not necessarily programmed. It's just a natural point of destination for our current community members and visitors to the city of Portsmouth. So with that, I'm going to make myself available to answer questions. I want to thank Mr. Godwin for at least giving me 5 minutes to answer a question that he's proposing relative to permitted uses, and I'll do my best.
Thank you, Dr. Russell. And we do have Councilman Dodson. Sir, you have the floor.
I know we loved the plan that you presented to us in the preliminary and the updates you've given us to consider it. I know at one point we talked about how do we encourage more of a higher rise development in this area. Has that
multi-story?
Yes,
a
multi-story, more than 2 stories though.
The ordinance language includes a maximum density of 64 units per acre in the Link District. So you want development in the community that's consistent with what you already have. So you want multi-story development. You don't want it significantly higher than what currently exists because it would be out of scale. The market actually will function to drive both density and height. And that's planning 101, right? So as your acreage opportunities, your property opportunities are limited and more expensive, right, you accomplish that by the increasing the number of units by the height of your structures.
64 units per acre is average of what height building?
That's a good question, but it doesn't work here because it really depends on the size,
yes, of course,
of your parcel. So I think the highest is it the
I think we're limited to 100 feet now.
Excuse me?
We're limited to 100 feet at the current zoning.
No, 100 feet would be about a 3 would be about a 3.5 story building. So no, it can be higher than that.
No, I thought 100 feet took us up to like 10 stories in some buildings, in
No,
a residential building.
Okay. I don't think everybody heard you because you said 100 feet would be 10 stories, right? Is that what?
That was my understanding, is that
No, because that would be 10 feet per.
for residential building, for commercial building, it would be different. Yes. Not correct? Okay. Can you update me after,
Yes,
when we have a moment?
Yes, sir.
Not here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah. I apologize for disagreeing with you.
You're doing wonderfully. Thank you for this presentation very much. We're
Yes.
hoping to move forward with it.
Okay.
Councilman Hugo, so you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Dr. Russell, for the words, but punctuated with the pictures. So having attended the Planning Commission discussions and also several EDA meetings where we've had discussions about things that we want, things that we don't want, it's important that we finally get to this evening to institutionalize the things that we want and things that we don't want, at least in round one, in phase one. And so, but I do think that including the pictures in your brief is helpful to not only us, but to our neighbors who are here or watching to understand how the words translate into what we're actually going to have in the Innovation District, and maybe just as importantly, what we don't want to have in the Innovation District. So thanks for all of that this evening.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Moody, sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Dr. Russell, for an exciting presentation. The words, pictures. The trip to Greenville was very exciting and enlightening, and I'm glad to see the Link Innovation District is going to reflect a lot of those things. But getting back to the name, is it the Link Innovation District or just
The Link District.
And the reason why I ask, you know, people want to go to an ice cream store, and let's say the ice cream store was called The Block. How many people would know they sold ice cream? I mean, what the Link Innovation District is going to exhibit is innovation, creation. So just throwing that out there, that I like the word innovation, I like the word link, because that's part of our city's history. So I think it's something, before we absolutely ink that we might want to think about that from a marketing standpoint. You know, if I'm a visitor to Portsmouth and I'm in a hotel and I see, let's go to the Link, I'm saying, what is the Link? But somebody says the Link Innovation District, that would whet my appetite and make me want to go check it out. Marketing is, you know, 90% of the
absolutely
of the game here, to attract people, to the entrepreneurs that are going to be there, the neat stuff that's going to be there. So we might want to get that word innovation in there. I like the flow of that, the Link Innovation District. So I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Thomas, ma'am, you have the floor.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Russell. Very exciting to hear about progress for the Link, whether we call it the Link Innovation. Very exciting to see the progress. I know we've already had some community engagement, some charrettes that we participated in as a council, along with some partners and community partnership. Want to continue to encourage the community to attend those public sessions, so for your input. But I don't know if, I'm going to ask you this question, but maybe have Mr. Carter also jump in. I know a lot of planning is going on, but how are we looking in terms of our timeline to use the raise grant funds? I know we have to have it obligated, those funds obligated by September 30th, 2026, and expended completely by September 30th, 2031. Are we still on that timeline, given the planning that we're doing, the community engagement? Are we still good to meet that timeline for these grant funds that we're using towards the Link District?
Can I respond?
Mr. Carter, sir, you have the floor.
Absolutely. We've already looked at that. We know what those timelines
Okay.
are, and we will not allow that money to just be wasted. With that is something that we're keeping track on. So
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Councilman Tillett, sir, you have the floor.
You can pass me by. I lost train of thought.
Okay. Councilwoman Bryant, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Dr. Russell. Would love for you to just inform the public in just a little bit more detail about your Harvard experience with the mayor. The trip to Greenville is something I think everybody can pretty much understand, but I think it's really important for people to know how you and the mayor participated in that Harvard experience to inform our direction with the link.
Okay. Mayor Glover, I need your help. I'll start. Bloomberg, it was a Bloomberg opportunity that was extended to the city of Portsmouth, and the mayor invited me along to support. And we had to propose a project that the community wanted expert support in designing, implementation, and troubleshooting. And so the project that we chose was our innovation district. And we looked at it from the perspective of, for parties outside of the community, how are we going to best inform them of what the area is and what our intent was? And so our marketing department did a drone video for the High Street corridor from the waterfront all the way down to the MLK coordinator, because the MLK connector, because it changes. The character of the corridor changes from about the intersection of Effingham forward. And then there were very prescriptive questions, as you would expect from an educational institution. They wanted to know the demographics. They wanted to know assess values. They wanted to know the nature of uses along the corridor, challenges, sales history, and this was I felt like a mother, because we had to do a presentation in front of these groups, and I could not do the presentation. I had to support the presentation, but I couldn't do it. He did an excellent job. He did a wonderful job, and we left that setting with. We were one of the best in terms of the preparation for our audience. And this is, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the evaluators at the time scored the raise grant applications. And so he was intimately aware of that application and Portsmouth's needs and Portsmouth's position regionally. With respect to demographics, with respect to incomes, he knew us very well, and so the feedback, and it's just the nature of human behavior. I tend to focus on the negative feedback that we receive. We got lots of positive feedback, but one of the things that was said is, okay, you need to brand it. You need a name that is going to have staying power. Yes, sir.
Yes, so to Dr. Russell's point, absolutely. These are very smart people in this area. So what they were there to really guide us. And so as a result, we talked about that, and we came in with the innovation district. And all these smart folks, PhDs, and people that do this for a living, they said, wait, hold on. We've got to name this place. It can't be innovation district, because innovation in and of itself, the word, doesn't speak to a idea, an entity, what's happening in that area. Innovation, of course, but bring it home to something that it identifies with the community. Part of this whole program was called the Just City Leadership Initiative. And what they were looking at when they went around different cities, because I wasn't the only mayor there were 8 other cities that were throughout the country. They wanted to see how we were going to incorporate our district into the overall community and link it to something, no pun intended, that was meaningful to the community as a whole. And so that was really the impetus for being there. Remember, it was a course. It was a course that we took from January until April. And so we had to go through classes and put up a lot of data in order to demonstrate what we were proposing. So after it all came out, we do have the final report that came from that. I will be sending that to each and every one of you. But it was a wonderful exercise. It gave us exposure. And by the way, those individuals that we met with, they still call on us and they're available to guide us through this process. So I think we were pretty fortunate.
The other area where we were asked to beef up was the housing piece.
Yes.
That we speak a lot about the entrepreneurial nature and creating jobs, but it is it is the residents that reside in the district that are going to support those entrepreneurial opportunities, the retail, the restaurateurs, and that was stated in Greenville as well, that the redevelopment opportunities for the condominiums and the lofts, bringing people back to downtown is an important piece in their success.
Absolutely, 100%.
Thank you, Dr. Russell.
You're
and thank
welcome.
you, Mayor. I think it's really important for people to hear that this experience was valuable and that Portsmouth was one of 8 cities across the country. So thank you for taking the time to do that for us.
Thank you.
And Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come and speak on this public hearing item, please come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
All right, good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Vice Mayor, of course, City Council, and also City staff. My name is Tony Goodwin, and of course, I reside in the Parkview section, historic section of Portsmouth, but have businesses in both ends of High Street, now in the 300 block and also at the 900 block of High Street, which is where our office is in the Link District. First of all, I thank Dr. Russell for quickly answering a couple of questions that I had, and being part of many charrettes going back probably to 96 when it comes to envisioning what we could do with different areas of the city, specifically in downtown, but all over the city, quite frankly. You know, some of those things came out to create plans such as form-based code from when Paul Holt was here as the planning director. And form-based code was a great tool, which it gave us a handbook for any developer to come in and actually look to see what was not necessarily interpreted by another person or a planning commission. He just basically had to follow the recipe book. But unfortunately, somewhere in between the charrettes of all the public involvement and also the adoption here at City Council, things had gotten tweaked or changed, and a lot of, it really created a mess, which ultimately had to be pretty much tossed and start over again, or at least have a big Band-Aid on it. Then the second Band-Aid created another set of issues, which of course were setbacks and all of that. So I'm very appreciative to the planning department for taking just what we learned in those 2 changes alone to this area, which is known as D2. But at the same time, too, it's definitely an approach that is obviously being well thought out. So I applaud everyone for being part of that. Some of the things that I saw, the matrix, which of course is what's in your package with this, is basically from the form-based code approvals from back in 2010. But that pretty much says what you can and can't do or what you can use. I did want to make a note, though, on one of those items is a commissary kitchen, which would be only allowed in the Link District. And we do have one particular business that's at 622 King Street. The Expo Kitchen is operating as a commissary / open space for restaurateurs, caterers, things of that nature, even food trucks to be able to utilize that space, but they don't keep trucks on that site. But I just want to make sure that that's clarified. One of the things that Dr. Russell had answered real quickly was the food truck ordinance, which was very well thought out, whereas Effingham to the waterfront, food trucks couldn't be on obviously public space without being part of an event. But beyond Effingham, it was pretty much open a little bit more, which inspired us to look into the Safeway Cab historic site and rethink how the historic Safeway Cab could be utilized in a way that creates a food truck connection, possibly a food truck park, but more prevalent and more recent is a term called a food hub. And a food hub gives you more than just a food truck park, whereas you get small business owners that can't afford a big brick and mortar and get started, but also it creates a freshness factor to the customer base, which is either just residents or, most importantly, our Navy folks from the Naval Hospital. And I think it's in the Mayor's and Military's Affairs Committee, I think, has been stated a couple of times, we need some better product or better food products and offerings rather than fast food. So when you get food trucks, it's usually all fresh ingredients, sometimes farm to table. But when you add the food truck or food hub, that concept is perfectly fit in this area because of the fact that it's offering farmers to bring their products into the district, actually having it available through a co-op process. Some other items on that matrix that would possibly be considered that wasn't on the list was e-commerce businesses, whereas they're retail, but they don't have a showroom or a sales floor. They actually have a stock room and a small office and packing area. Make sure we include those guys because that's a definite, I guess you could say, business incubator concept. Wholesale sales, having wholesale opportunities as well. Courtyards on High Street, specifically in the 800 block, which is what we're kind of planning into, similar to what's on the 600 block beside right in the crux there of, gosh, I completely forgot the name. Anyhow, the Thai restaurant, Thai Basil. So something to consider with that and adding the DORA permit on private property, whereas that's, of course, why you prevent that, obviously, at the local level with the ABC's involvement. But that's all I have, but I thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a public hearing. If you wish to come speak on this public hearing item, please come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, this public hearing is closed. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Please vote electronically.
This item is adopted 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir.
That concludes our public hearing items. We're now moving to 26-43, City Manager's Report, Consent Agenda. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the consent agenda items?
Yes, sir. Item A, the item you're considering is an ordinance accepting adult services funding in the amount of $3,500 from the Virginia Department of Social Services and appropriating said amounts in the FY 2026 Social Services Fund used by DSS. Item B, an ordinance accepting additional specialty dockets grant funding in the amount of $35,073.91 from the Office of the Executive Secretary at the Supreme Court of Virginia and appropriating said funds in the FY 2026 Behavioral Health Care Services Fund for use in connection with the Portsmouth Adult Recovery Court.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Council members, we are in need of a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Please vote electronically.
These items are adopted 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes our city manager's report. Our next item is new business, item 26-44, boards and commissions. Councilman Hugel, do we have any boards or commissions?
We do not this evening, Mr. Mayor, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Next item, item 26-45, items submitted by council members. Do we have any items submitted by council members? Okay, seeing none, well, I have an item to submit. As we all are aware, February is Black History Month, and just to let you know, in the city of Portsmouth, we have a whole program of events and opportunities for you to participate in. We have a program that is with our museums called Black History Now. It is a 365-day program, and I encourage you all to learn more about the history of Portsmouth and what others have done to make our city great. But I want to share with you one individual tonight, Marlene W. Randall. Mrs. Randall, city councilwoman, retired educator, administrator, was born on October 18th, 1934 in Portsmouth, Virginia. After she graduated from high school, she earned her BS degree in elementary education from Virginia State University. In 1960, she received her MA degree in early childhood education from Columbia University. She also received her advanced certificate in administration from the University of Virginia and her advanced certificate in administration and supervision from Old Dominion University. She began her teaching career in Portsmouth Public School System. She was an elementary school teacher, assistant principal, facilities coordinator. She created the pattern for the pairing of schools, staff, and students that led to the integration of Portsmouth Public Schools. She retired after 38 years of distinguished service. In 2002, Mrs. Randall was elected to the Portsmouth City Council, where she served 3 consecutive terms. She also served as vice mayor. That's just a part of our history, and certainly it is something that I think was worth sharing with our community. Any other items to be submitted by council? Thank you. Our next item, item 26-46, report on pending items.
That's me.
Any pending items, Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. In your package, and in your email, you should have gotten a report back on the items from the last week. The only other item I have, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Brian Wood. He is sitting in the front row there. He's going to be the assistant to the city manager. Mr. Brian Wood brings more than 15 years of experience in local government and nonprofit service. He's worked in D.C. and Maine. I guess most recently he was in Maryland, but he has expertise in leading external initiatives and improved organizational efficiencies. He's going to be one of the persons that will be interacting with you on some of those things that you send me and asking for report backs on. He will lead several of the projects that we have going on in our city right now. He's going to be really the assistant that takes care of most of the project management kind of issues that we're trying to get our arms around. So I want to welcome to our team, our executive team, Mr. Brian Wood.
Mr. Wood.
That's it, Mayor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and welcome again, Mr. Wood, to the team. Our next item, item 26-47, non-agenda speakers. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker statement? Oh, Councilwoman Thomas, ma'am, you have the floor. I'm sorry.
Sorry, thank you. I had just one quick comment regarding Mr. Carter's report back items. I wanted to make the public aware of at our last city council meeting. Thank you, Mr. Carter, for reporting back on the communication regarding the trash bins and containers. And just to let the community know, there will be, it sounds like, additional messaging going out or stickers placed on the bin so that all of our citizens will be aware of how to use their bins if they no longer need to. So thank you for following up on that to make that communication available for all of our citizens. Thank you.
And Madam Clerk, would you please read the speaker statement?
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 5 minutes to speak. As you approach the speaker's podium, you will notice a timer. At the beginning of your 5 minutes, you will see a green light. 4 minutes into your remarks, you will notice a yellow light. At the end of 5 minutes, you will see a red light, hear a beep, and we ask you to please conclude your comments at that time. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the city council as a body rather than any particular member of city council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And our first speaker tonight is Luis Padilla. Mr. Padilla, if you would come forward, state your name and address, you will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Manager, and members of City Council. My name is Luis Fernando Padilla, and I reside in 301 Chautauqua Avenue, Portsmouth, Virginia, 23707. I'm here tonight to discuss a strategic path forward regarding the $6.7 million funding gap in the Portsmouth Public Schools budget. Firstly, I want to thank this council for the $6 million already provided. It's a vital step. However, we must address the remaining shortfall to fully implement the compensation study for all staff. When we talk about retention over recruitment, we aren't talking about just teachers. We're talking about our bus drivers, our custodians, and our school security officers. These essential employees, many of whom are Portsmouth residents, are the backbone of our operations. Now another question, where does the money come from? To answer that, we only have to look back to this council's own actions on November 25th of last year. That night, you proved our budget is a living document by passing a series of ordinances, specifically 25-109 through 25-113, which reappropriated over $30 million in unspent carry-forward funds from the previous year. If this council can successfully move $30 million mid-cycle for textbooks, grants, and insurance, then we certainly have the fiscal mechanism to prioritize $6.7 million for the human beings who keep our schools running. I'm proposing a surgical realignment. This is a collaborative effort with the school board to audit administrative overhead and contracts to ensure every dollar moves to the front lines. We should treat the upcoming carry-forward reconciliation with the same urgency showed last November. It costs just as much to replace a veteran maintenance worker as it costs to replace a classroom teacher. By closing this gap, using the tools you've already proven work, we ensure Portsmouth remains competitive and our schools remain stable. Investing in our entire workforce is an investment in our property values and children's future. Let's use the precedent already set to support the people who support Portsmouth. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hugo, sir, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So, Mr. Padilla, I appreciate your input. I'm not aware that we have a $6.7 million funding gap. My recollection from the budget discussions that we had when we put the FY 25-26 budget in place was that the compensation plan was in fact fully funded. And so I'm not sure what $6.7 million funding gap you think we have. Regarding what was done back in November, the funds that you have listed here, the $30 million of funds, all but $12 million of that were budget carryover in specific funds. So for instance, the risk management fund can only be carried over into risk management, the textbooks only over into textbooks, food services only into food services. So there's really only $12.9 million of carryover, and that was surplus at the end of FY 25. And my recollection was that the school board, the school superintendent, identified that all but about 160,000 of that was already committed. And so, of course, we're going to push the money back to the school board to pay bills that they have already obligated, which is exactly what we did. So out of the $30 million that you list here, there was really only about $160,000 of surplus that was up for discussion. And in fact, the way that was handled, a year ago, the City Council put an ordinance in place that created the opportunity for the school board to populate a CIP rainy day fund and with any general fund surplus. And so all that $160,000 that was left over, that wasn't obligated from the general fund, was parked in the capital improvement fund. So in fact, of the $30 million that you have listed here, every single penny of it was accounted for back in October when we voted to deal with the $30 million carryover at the end of FY25. So there are just things here that I don't think you got quite right, and I wanted to clarify for the record. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Ms. Sheila Joseph.
Again, I would like to thank everyone that given me this opportunity. Sheila Joseph, 139 Grand Street, Portsmouth, Virginia. The last meeting I was in, January the 27th, Mr. Carter, I requested in an email for you all also share this information about the transformer, and y'all requested to look into it, but I haven't heard anything about the transformer in Fairville neighborhood yet. And I've been back home 35 years, and it's been in our community, that transformer, as long as I can remember as a child, that I see that Congress, Scott, and President Biden send me information about the infrastructure, HR 3684, and that's part of the project. And I've been taking pictures in different areas. And just recently, last year, on Noble Street and Temple, which is 2 streets in my community, and they was saying that we put an update transformer. And I told y'all that the inside thing that was working, that when it, got affected, it submerged in my home, caused my receptacles. I got 12 rooms in my house, and the receptacles, the refrigerator, freezer, lights, and everything, stove had stopped working. So I investigated and found out I needed to call Dominion Energy about it. But someone this year told me they put in a request, and then somebody came behind them saying the person didn't know what they were talking about. And they said they requested it and ordered that transformer. And I documented and told them to document every word I say. So I knew I was going to come and bring it to y'all attention. Did anyone investigate it, include, it was requested of Mr. Carter to look into about the transformer. The other thing I wanted to ask about, y'all remember, and you can go back before Mr. Carter was here, I asked about a neighborhood sign. So therefore, my son and I got together and created one at his expense. And they only wanted him to remove, because under the United States trademark and copyright, when he create, they asks him to own his work so nobody wouldn't use it. So they didn't want that, so we removed it and decided to do something simple, saying Fairville and what other comment we had, and we didn't put ownership on it. So I was told that it was delivered, but do I want to look at it? That was January the 21st. I haven't heard anything yet concerning the neighborhood, but other signs are popping up, and I never seen or known anyone addressing in that community about the way I did. I went from my community and surrounding community during the smoke tests and everything, and I pretty much documented everything that's supposed to be defected underground. And I mentioned that when they started on Wall Street and Noble Street, inserting inside this material, and they said it would last longer if people didn't put chemicals in it. So I researched the company, and I came back to you all and told you that I didn't want that because the president said $738 million in the state of Virginia to address that, old pipes to be removed. So it's a lot of other stuff I asked for. Y'all know what it is. I'm included into the project, the different things that I was asking, not just my community, but other communities. And I've been addressing the streets, the stop signs. If y'all go and look on Deep Creek and Douglas Park, Grand Street, you'll see them, the blinking lights. And also, I was pointing out to different ones about the street lights, that they are confusing and people having accidents. So I will bring those things to you. That's
Thank
it.
you, ma'am. Thank you. Our next speaker is Stephanie, ma'am, your last name, Lodi?
Yes, sir.
Stephanie Lodi. Please come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of council. My name is Stephanie Lodi, and I live out Prentice. I'm a Norcom graduate, and I've been a nuclear engineer for 14 years. I'm here tonight because I believe the way property maintenance and code enforcement is being applied to my home is unfair, overly aggressive, and may be violating the spirit of the city's own procedures and my due process rights. Over the last several years, I've received multiple code notices focused on my property. I am not the worst house on my block. In fact, some nearby properties are in visibly worse condition, yet I am the one receiving repeated notices, sometimes over issues that are minor or simply not there. This pattern makes me feel singled out, targeted, and possibly due to a neighbor repeatedly complaining, even though the city consistently labels that my cases are inspector generated. I want to focus on the most recent incident because it clearly shows why I'm so concerned. On January 27th, I received a notice from the city stating that I had debris on my porch and giving me 10 days to correct the issue. In my review, there was no debris on my porch. I keep my property reasonably maintained, and nothing on my porch was trash, rubbish, or a safety hazard. I was prepared to address anything the city clearly identified, but the notice itself was vague and did not match the actual condition of my home. What happened next is what truly alarmed me. I did not hire any contractor to come to my house. Instead, one came on his own, and I saw him on my Ring camera. When I spoke to him through my camera, he told me that he was there because the city had issued a request for bids that included my property. He was taking pictures to prepare his bid to the city and not to do any work for me. He also told me that according to the documents he received, the bid for my property originated on January 28th, just one day after the notice was posted, and that bids had to be submitted by February 6th. That means that the city was already moving my property into an abatement and contractor process before my 10-day correction period had even expired. In other words, I was supposedly being given time to comply, but behind the scenes, the city had already assumed a non-compliance and started the process to have work done on my home without my consent. If the city sets a deadline, the city should honor that deadline before escalating to forced abatement, especially when there is no emergency. After learning this from the contractor, I contacted the inspector that he named. The inspector told me that the violations were, first, that I had indoor chairs on my porch, and second, that I had a van with no registration stickers. When I asked him to read me the specific debris ordinance that he claimed, even as he read it aloud, it was clear that interpreting my usable porch chairs as debris was, at best, a stretch and highly subjective. Many Portsmouth residents use indoor chairs or benches on their porches. Mine were water resistant and weather resistant, which spoke to the debris ordinance that he read. To treat mine as debris while ignoring similar or worse conditions on my block is not an objective application of the code. It is a discretionary judgment call being used only against me. Regarding the van, I understand that the city has the authority to regulate inoperable or unregistered vehicles, and that vehicles without valid plates or inspection can be addressed under the code. My concern is not that the city noticed the van. My concern is how it's being used in the overall pattern. The inspector told me that he rides down the street looking for things like that and then bundles those observations into a complaint on my property. Meanwhile, my porch debris is defined so subjectively that almost any personal property on my porch can be used as pretext. Additionally, a written notice with pictures is normally sent to the home detailing the perceived issues. To date, I have not received a paper notice, despite the inspector saying on the phone call that he sent one the same day that I called. Without that notice, there's no reasonable expectation that I could have known what debris they wanted removed, or even that my van was a problem, seeing as it wasn't stated on the notice. From my perspective, this looks less like neutral enforcement and more like an inspector looking for reasons to keep a case open on my address. So we have three pieces together: a vague and subjective debris claim based on ordinary chairs on a porch, a van that, while addressable under inoperable vehicle rules, could have been handled through a standard notice process like any other resident's vehicle, and a city-initiated bid and contractor visit generated one day after my notice with a bid deadline before my correction period expired. Taken together, these do not look like routine, even-handed enforcement. They look like preemptive escalation against my home, driven by either a neighbor complaint pattern or the personal judgment of the inspector, or both. I want to be clear. I support reasonable code enforcement, and I understand the need to address nuisances. I'm not asking to be above the law. I'm asking to be treated the same as my neighbors, with clear standards, honest timelines, and no pre-decided outcomes. What I'm experiencing instead is a pattern that looks like complaint-driven and highly discretionary, repeated. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Were you done? Did you have a
I
last?
just had a couple of things that I would have liked to have seen.
Well.
But I am done with the issue.
Okay, very good. Mr. Carter, sir, do you want to address this matter?
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Steve Carter. I'm the city manager. For that particular complaint that you're talking about, at least the one where the contractor came and started, reviewing your home, the procedure for that is, if there's a write-up, they're going to give that to a contractor and ask them to give us a bid on what it costs to do that. Now, they're not going to do anything to your property at that time. They're just going to give us a bid, so that if you don't do it, that there's somebody already in line to take care of it. That's what that piece was. Now, you talked about repeated things that have happened. I haven't looked at that to address that, because the information I got was about that particular item.
Yes, sir. This one was the most current one, but it's gotten to the point where January 1st popped around. I was like, you know what? Portsmouth hasn't really bothered me about anything. Maybe I'm going to get by January this time. And it's pretty much right around January, February, I can kind of expect for something to pop up from the city inspector, whether it's a pile of sticks that was in my yard to I don't know, whatever they perceive is in my yard, something.
Yeah. I'll have to look at the history of that, because I didn't look at that. The information I got was about why was the guy on my property before anything was done. Right. So I looked into that. I didn't ask about these other things because I didn't know about these other things.
I appreciate that. You weren't prepared to talk to that tonight.
But I will look into it.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Councilman Dodson, sir, you have the floor.
Sheila, thank you for your emails.
Yes, sir.
It's not all the time we get a pleasant email in a professional manner, and your way of handling this has been done very well. And I want to thank you for your manner and your professionalism in doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for getting back to me.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Miss Angela Parrish. Miss Parrish, if you would come forward, state your name and address. You will have 5 minutes.
Okay, I started to speak earlier about Palmwell Street in Portsmouth, Virginia.
Yes, ma'am.
Palmwell Street is a street, but it ends up in a cul-de-sac.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the area in which there's the cul-de-sac, there is a man that lives at 2807 Palmwell Street that has two 70-pound trucks and a cabin of a tractor trailer. That noise from his truck is what my mother called me for at 5:30 a.m. to tell me that a bomb had exploded. Because when he starts the truck up, my mother's property in 5 feet 7 inches from his truck. Her bedroom is right there by that truck. It's not one truck that will cause the problem. It's two 70,000-pound trucks, dump trucks on that street. He parks them also on the street in front of Mr. Ray's house, who used to be the older man that did the baseball around here when I was younger. And he blocked that house out. All of this oil mess is now in the street. I've talked to Corporal Curtis. I've called to the police department for Mr. Jenkins, can't remember right now. He have sent my mother letters because my mother has spoken to him about the fact of these trucks, how they're waking her up. She's 84 years old, and he and his, I don't know if she's now a wife. She used to be a widow, but now this man is there. And whenever she says something to him, this lady will leave her job down here in Portsmouth, Virginia. I've recorded her coming to there when my mother has spoke to him about that vehicle. It seems that he does not have rules, but I've checked. I went down to the library, and I tried to find out what is your rules and policies and procedures in regarding 70,000-pound truck. Two trucks, that's 140,000 pounds on a cul-de-sac. And then now he is bringing the bed of his tractor trailer. I don't understand it. I spent 42 years in Maryland. I lived in a cul-de-sac. You could not bring those tracks there. They were for loading and unloading. That's all you could do. They were not to stay there Monday through Friday. They were not to stay there overnight. And your rules here, according to some of the books that I looked, in fact, your city of Portsmouth ordinance laws and stuff like that hasn't been updated since 2007. Another book has not been updated since 2010. So I'm just trying to figure out what is your policies here about tractor trailers on cul-de-sac? Because it says you're not supposed to go beyond, if there's not a throughway street, it's not supposed to be there. So I'm trying to figure out what is that policy. My mother had just had surgery on the 4th, and the family was down for that. We got a chance to hear that noise because, as he say, he has to let the air pressure out on the truck. That's why the truck had to sit there in the driveway for over an hour with all of this noise. So I'm trying to figure out, what is your policy here?
Yes, ma'am. I hear you. So, first of all, I'm going to ask Councilman Tillage, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Parrish, for bringing this to council. I sent an email back on August 7th in regards to dump trucks on Pinewell Street. And there's numerous trucks that have been parked there. I've received numerous complaints from other residents about this. And could we finally get something done, whether it's an ordinance change or not? Because it's multiple trucks that are on that street. And this, to Ms. Parrish's point, the street is a cul-de-sac, a small street. And there's dump trucks that are literally parked in between homes, like backed up in driveways that are probably pushing the boundaries of property lines. And it's becoming a huge nuisance for the members of that community.
Mr. Carter, you have the floor, sir.
Absolutely. I'm looking at some notes on this. I'll take a look at this. This is new information to me about the Pinewell Street and the noise that you're talking about with your mother. we'll definitely take a look at it. I can't promise you what can happen right now because I got to actually do a little research for myself before.
Well, this been brought up at the Wilson Ward Civic League,
Okay.
and my mother was told that that is his business. He used those trucks for his business. And if you want him to move their truck, then you have to pay him for the amount of money he'll miss per day because he's not able to be at home and collect this. So this been going on for 2 years. This man has sent this letter to my mother and has intimidated my mother over his desire to park his trucks on the street and in front of somebody else's property. But those two men, he bucked down. When the other man, Mr. Ray, bucked at him, let him know that's not happening as far as being in front of his property. He don't park those trucks there no more, but he'll intimidate an older 84-year-old woman. And
Ms.
that
Parrish.
man's truck is often there.
Ms. Parrish, we've heard you, ma'am.
I'm sorry, what you say?
We have heard what you said tonight, and we're going to look into the matter.
Absolutely.
And someone will follow back up with you. We understand your frustration, ma'am. And
Yes,
we're
it's
going-
very upsetting, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to you all doing something. It's 2 years. 2 years we've been going through this with this guy.
Yes, ma'am, and we are going to look into it, and we will have a response back to you on this matter. Thank you very much.
I thank you.
Okay. That concludes our speakers for tonight. If there's no other business to conduct for the good of the order, this meeting is adjourned.